Morning, everyone. So, as Debbie said, I'm Victoria Cook and I work within the central procurement team at M&J Seafood. I've been in seafood for just under 10 years now, and 90% of my career has been working within the retail sector. Last year, I decided to join the M&J team and take a complete turn, so I went into the food service market. And actually, I think I underestimated the complexity and the diversity of that market. Really has got some fantastic, vibrant and diverse opportunities for seafood. And I could actually spend hours trying to find the words to explain to you who M&J are and what we do. I've actually got a short clip just to share with you both today. So in the video, we touched on our owners, Cisco. So Cisco are based across the world. They're the biggest food service business in the world with an annual turnover of almost 60 billion. It's made up of many different companies and businesses across the world, but for the sake of today, I'm going to concentrate on the UK structure. So within that, you'll see we've got Brakes and the Fresh Direct family. A lot of you will recognise Brakes in the building. They're a broadline business. They supply various proteins at multi-temperatures, consolidated in one delivery to our customers. Then we go to the Fresh Direct family. So that's built up of 4 fresh specialist businesses, and we've got Fresh Direct, M&J, Wild Harvest, and Fresh Fare. And this is the bit that really, really excites Cisco, in terms of growth for the coming years, and they're fully committed and fully invested in that. So before we move on to talking about what's going on in food service, we need to understand who they are. So it's also known as out-of-home market. So Simon talked about it as out-of-home. It's worth 90 billion in sales revenue a year. We build it up in 3 broad line channels. So we've got hotels, pubs and restaurants that builds up 66 billion. And actually my husband's in the room today and spends far too much time in one of them, and it's not the restaurants or the hotels. We've got retail, travel and leisure, 20 billion. Built up of all your coffee shops, your Costas, your Starbucks, your Pret-a-Manger's. And although it's the lowest contributor, it is still equally as important. That's contract catering. It delivers 4 billion of sales revenue a year. That's your Ministry of Events, your education, your NHS. So now we understand what we're talking about, what market we're looking at. We need to understand what is going on in the market. And Simon talked about volume, and I'm going to talk about sales revenue. And it is it's in long-term growth. So in 2009, we had our credit crunch, and since then, it's been growing up. To the Brexit effect, so we all decided on that sort of thing, although there may be some mixed views on that in the room, but we won't go into that. And since then, consumers lost confidence, so it dropped a bit, but we're going back on that upward turn, and that is what we need to concentrate on in the next coming years to really optimise fish within that sector. So although it is a market that's in long-term growth, it's not without its challenges. All these will be familiar to everyone in this room, whether you're in retail, production, operations, service sector, you will understand all these challenges that we are facing. So 2 of these are led by the government, so business rates and minimum wage are increasing. Minimum wage, we all want to feel like we've done a fair day's work for a fair day's wage. staff shortages. We all need a skilled workforce, and we know how difficult it is to actually find one, but then retain it as well. And actually, the uncertainty of Brexit is probably going to compel this further. And all this is starting to actually affect our consumers. So they're spending more when they go out, but they're going out less. In Q2, we were really, really affected this year in terms of the really, really unusually cold Easter and the World Cup. Nobody wants to eat fish when it's a World Cup. You all want to have drinks and enjoy the competition. And all this results in a high street that is under pressure. We recognise all these brands up here, probably all love to use them, various ones. But this year, we've actually seen hundreds of closures this year in terms of that. And they're big, well-known house brands. If they're being affected, what's it going to have for the rest of the market? So despite all the doom and gloom, we'll get to the nice bit now. There is a market and a future for food service market, and it's really, really exciting. Seafood has got huge opportunity within this. It's a diverse and vibrant industry that allows us to set or react trends really quickly, unlike the retail world. And please do take that in the vein. I've had the unique opportunity to work in both sectors, and I understand how both work and how quickly we can react to that. And alternatively, actually, retail have really set the way in terms of optimising technology and how they can grow their market in that way. So it's something we will touch on further on in this. So we start with a creative chef. He's been on his holidays, he's got excited, he's seen a fantastic new ingredients, he's put them together and he's made a fantastic new meal. He wants to put it on his menu. He's supplied by Foodservice. His friends find out about it. He might be part of a massive group that have spread the menu across the group across the UK and even into Europe on some of them. It gets supplied on a larger scale by Foodservice. And then someone might go out for a meal, really enjoy it, might work in the retail world and think, actually, that's a fantastic opportunity to share, replicate in the homes for people on convenience and a budget. And actually, fish is very much on trend. So some of these trends are actually similar to what Simon talked about in the retail sector. So there are differences in both sectors, but there are similarities, and they're both equally as important to the seafood industry. So as we move away from the heavy proteins into a more light, meat-free culture, we can fully optimise this opportunity. We all want to feel like we're being healthy and indulgent at the same time, that being bad and being good factor. Fish really allows this on a dish. We want to all feel like we get value for our money, but not compromise on quality. And seafood sharing platters really, really underpin that this year, and that trend is growing fast. And we want our future generation to enjoy fish more and keep this industry alive. We see this in the government's legislation of 2 portions of fish per week and 1 being oily. Fish 2 a week campaign. And although seafood is on trend, it does face competition from proteins such as pork, beef and chicken. And we can see this from the slide that these proteins are more stable in pricing as opposed to the volatility of the fish market. And in this instance, we've chosen to show salmon. These proteins have either been able to keep their prices stable or reduce them in the same period that seafood has continued to rise significantly. Saw this again in yours, Simon. We've got some really good sort of like similarities on both sides of the sector. So it's becoming more and more apparent in the amount of menu space that these proteins are gaining compared to seafood. And why is menu space important? Well, chef plans his menu months in advance, or he and she is personally measured and rewarded on gross profit that they make. So they need to be confident in the products they're going to get, they need to be confident in the pricing, they need to be confident it's going to be there, the right quality, the right time. And if they haven't got this confidence, you won't feature. And if you don't feature, it can easily take up to 9 months to reappear on that menu. So a lot can happen in 9 months. It's nearly a full year seasonality in terms of fish for the rest of us in here who are very relevant in the seafood world. And actually, it can be the difference between a performing business and a non-performing business. So the expense of fish and food in terms of a food service product, so fish and chips when you eat out, is getting more exposure in the media. Along with everything else, so it's not price, there's quality, there's sustainability, there's technical compliance, there's availability. And I've given a few examples on here that we're all familiar with this year, but they really do underpin just how important it is that food service continue to work to the same robust standards that the retail world do. So BRC certifications, working to sustainability credentials, people are becoming more and more conscious of this. So some of us will recognise some of these apps, some of us spend more time on them than we should. In 2017, the average person spent 135 minutes scrolling social media. That's quite an eye-opener when I saw that statistic for me, and I use them. So I've put under here that these are the traditional ones, so Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, but actually for some businesses, these are what people are going to be embracing in the coming years. So I touched on earlier how retail have led the way in forms of utilising technology and online platforms to grow their market. And food service have historically lagged behind on this, but are really starting to take hold of this opportunity in forms of Deliveroo, Uber Eats and HelloFresh. So this allows the out-of-home experience to be enjoyed at home with all the convenience and a lower cost. So, not sure if many of you are aware of some of these other ones. The ones that we need to embrace for the future in a food service world to really grow seafood is the online ordering app. So Wetherspoons are trialling this and have been for this year. So you can sit at your table, not have to go up to even go up to the bar and order your meal and it'll arrive when it's ready. People love the convenience of not having to wait in a queue. And then online payment apps. So we've all gone out for a meal with our loved ones, our friends, our family, and then it gets to the end of the night and we need to split the bill. So someone has to take charge and split that out equally and make sure we're all happy before all them arguments start. So this actual app allows you to do that fairly from your table without any arguments involved. So to recap and summarise what we've been through in the last 15 minutes or so. So food service operators have challenges along with the rest of the high street. Food service is attracting more attention in terms of media and is investing in technology. Fish ticks all the boxes for the food service operators, but faces competition from other less volatile proteins. And it's actually an exciting and innovative market that we can fully optimise in the coming years and absolutely spread the word of the seafood industry. Thank you.